The dishonest WNBA referees who had hampered Caitlin Clark's life all year were finally revealed. Who could forget, after all, when she received her 6th technical foul for just striking the stanchion out of annoyance? And certainly it wasn't a singular instance. During the season, she had been the subject of dubious calls, with the officials apparently exposing her without providing a good explanation. Do you recall when she was fined for merely touching the face of an opponent? Or when she shouted in celebration and then a technical foul? But wait, where were these so-called refs when she was half-blinded and still competing in the playoffs after Dejanay Carrington slapped her in the eye? You're right, they were either totally colorblind or gone for lunch. Whatever the reason, it doesn't even matter now because Clark has made it clear, and to be honest, that's plenty. We all know that Caitlin Clark has had an incredible season, but there is one obvious problem that seems to follow her everywhere she goes: a unique whistle that nobody can ignore. Caitlin Clark has been a dominant force this season and is a true powerhouse. With an incredible 3,251 points, she broke records previously held by Kelsey Plum and even Pete Maravich, making her the NCAA's all-time top scorer. Her accomplishments are nothing short of legendary. Clutch, huh? With each game, she's changing the record books. However, the way she's been treated? It's completely ridiculous. At 212, footage. Really, it seems like the referees are using entirely new rules each time she is engaged in a play. Laws that conveniently appear to overlook missed calls and obvious violations. The WNBA's corruption? A triple-double stat line makes it very evident. When it comes to Clark, offenses like landing zone violations and shoulder charges that would have other players penalized right away are just ignored. The referees appear to be too preoccupied with witnessing her break records to take notice of the obvious no calls. This specific whistle treatment significantly alters the outcome of the game, making it more than just a small annoyance. Despite being one of the most gifted players on the court and a playmaker, Caitlin Clark's team is expected to compete fiercely without the same protection that other superstars enjoy. When you think about it, it's really unfortunate. Then there's the entire technical foul problem, which is where the witch hunt really begins. This season, Caitlin Clark has accrued 6 technical fouls. Furthermore, we're not discussing hurling punches or initiating altercations. These technicians, they are simply the outcome of Clark expressing his annoyance. Are you serious? 6 technical fouls for no other reason than she's invincible? A suspension is now only 2 technical fouls away for Clark. 2. For what? Humanity? Is the WNBA attempting to turn her into a martyr because she displayed some emotion on the court? She's not punching people. She is not insulting the referees. She's only being honest, which appears to be punished much more than it ought to be. It's funny how people seem to hold Clark to a totally different standard. Every time she displays any emotion, the referees seem to have a unique radar that goes off. The key question, though, is how Clark's reputation as an emotional player is beginning to change as a result of these technical fouls. We all understand that she is simply determined and enthusiastic, but this type of categorization might have long-term consequences. However, the fact that this whole affair is revealing the true nature of these prejudiced referees makes it pure gold. By bringing attention to the corruption that WNBA referees participate in behind closed doors, Caitlin Clark has completely reversed the trend. She claims that she was given a technical foul by the referee because she, wait for it, expressed emotion following a contentious call. Isn't that shocking? The worst part is that some referees, specialists, and even fans themselves are aware that something is off. It must be better. It's evident that Clark is receiving unfair treatment overall, and this isn't limited to this one game. The league simply can't seem to get it right, punishing her for expressing annoyance while disregarding obvious fouls that are occurring in front of them. It seems as though the referees are attempting to paint her as the antagonist simply because she is enthusiastic. But don't worry, WNBA. You'll work this out in due time. I hope so, anyway. Scenes 3. You would think that as one of the best players in the WNBA, the officials would provide some protection. However, Caitlin Clark hasn't been receiving that this season. When she's on the floor, it's almost as if the officials have a blind spot. Not only are small calls being missed, but there are also risky and pivotal situations that are being totally disregarded. There is a strong case to be made that Caitlin Clark is the official victim of a perverse, referee-approved grudge. Here's the thing. Games against the Chicago Sky have accounted for 80% of Clark's egregious fouls this season. Yes, you heard correctly. Just one team. How can one club possibly have more egregious fouls against one player than the majority of the league combined? However, it's definitely not biased, isn't it? In terms of statistics, that is a clear warning sign. Furthermore, it doesn't end there. Social media fans have been talking about this tendency, with many highlighting the officials' persistent partiality against Clark. It's a pattern rather than a haphazard remark from the peanut gallery. And it's causing some people to take notice. Fans and internet feedback aren't the only sources of this kind of treatment. During broadcasts, some of the most reputable WNBA experts and pundits have begun to bring it up. They aren't scared to call out referee bias on live and are openly asking if it exists against Clark. This is where things become even more worrisome. The integrity of the game is being closely examined as the WNBA fights for greater recognition, more fans, and more respect. In recent years, the WNBA has made progress, yet, indeed, the league has been expanding, becoming more well-known, and attracting more spectators. But this whole problem with the officiating? It's a significant step back. Casual watchers or new fans who believe the game is rigged or who witness their favorite players being treated unfairly on a regular basis may leave. The WNBA will eventually suffer if officials continue to act in such a biased and inconsistent manner. Therefore, I would advise the WNBA to act and spend money on improving the referees' training. The WNBA could definitely learn a few things from the NBA's decades of perfecting their officiating system, even though they are trained in the sense that they know what a basketball looks like. At least the NBA has established some sort of benchmark, right? So why not take a cue from the WNBA and teach their referees to manage a bit more pressure, repeatedly? Speaking of star protection, are you aware of how the NBA makes a special effort to ensure that its best players have a little additional leeway? The referees will most likely call a foul, even if it's a minor one, if LeBron James is touched in the paint. However, that's because they saw him as the league's lifeblood. He attracts sponsors, viewers, and admirers. Here's an idea, though. Wouldn't the WNBA be able to take a risk and demonstrate to the world that they are prepared to make the system better? Accept responsibility, give the athletes first priority, and then give their fans top priority. Can we go past the same old issues and consider whether it's time to make changes to the way the league sets itself up for the future? How games are officiated, and how players are treated? Because it may be more than just the referees who require retraining if they do not take action right away. It might be time for a major wake-up call for the entire league. So, WNBA, what will it be? Continue to ignore the problems at hand or take initiative and clean up the mess?